Alright guys, welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about which LS is the best LS motor for your swap. Behind me is my 350Z that we're going to be LS swapping very soon. So definitely this information was key for me to know, and I want to share that information with you guys. So now let's get into today's video. Alright, so the first thing that we should cover anytime you're doing an LS swap, because what I'm talking about today is not just swapping an LS into a 350Z, it's actually swapping an LS into anything. And the first thing you need to think about is how much engine bay space you have. Behind me is probably one of the tightest engine bays to actually put an LS in, but what people usually do is they cut the secondary firewall that's in it, giving it more space to actually put the LS in it. But many people make a kit that centers the motor and puts it in the perfect spot to actually have an LS perfectly sat in your 350Z or whatever you want to put it in. So that's the first thing to consider. How much space do you have? Now on to the question at hand, or the issue I should say, which is how do you choose from such a wide variety of LS engines and which one is right for you? Alright, so the first thing you want to think about when choosing an LS engine is, do you want it to be aluminum? Do you want the block to be aluminum? Do you want just the heads to be aluminum? Because there are many different variants where there's cast iron blocks with aluminum heads and aluminum blocks with cast iron heads. So you got to know what you're looking for and pretty much know what your weight goals are. If you want to lighten up the front of your car, or you don't want to put so much such a heavy block or such a heavy engine in the front, then you definitely want to go with an all aluminum motor, because you're going to have some weight savings in that area. Now the next thing to focus on is if you actually want an engine that its serial number or its actual name is LS, because a lot of truck motors, which is the 4.8, the 5.3 and the 6.0, they are not actually LS motors. They have different names. Like, so the perfect motor that I'm going to be picking for this build is actually called an L92. So it's not actually labeled an LS motor, but it's a 6.0 that came out of the Denali's. So it comes factory with 404 horsepower and 435 foot-pounds of torque. I'm going to be running it off of a Holley Terminator X kit. That's a full standalone ECU. It's the best bang for your buck when you're dealing with anything that has to do with an LS swap. So this is going to be a very good swap, because literally I take that motor out of or I get the motor from eBay or however I acquire the motor, drop it in the car, run the Holley standalone kit, and I should be well over 420 430 horsepower without having to do absolutely anything to it. So you have to know what your horsepower goals are as well when choosing one of these motors. So that's going to be the next thing that we talk about. What is your horsepower goals? Because you have 4.8s that are right under 300, your 5.3s right over 300, and you have the 6.0s that can definitely range over 400 to 500 horsepower. So you have to know what horsepower goals you're actually going for. So like I was saying, horsepower goals are extremely important when you're actually doing an LS swap, because you don't want to go through the headache. You don't want to buy an expensive swap kit and then just not be happy with the amount of power you have. All of these motors actually have the potential of being turbocharged very easily and doubling their horsepower with just running about 5 pounds of boost. And all of these motors are extremely stout, and they can handle longevity. They can handle long times of abuse, so you don't have to worry about that. If you just plan on running a factory motor, which means you want to get it straight out of the junkyard, you want to get it straight out of a wreck car, drop it in your vehicle and be ready to go, then is where you should be concerned about what the factory horsepower is, what type of heads are on it, what kind of block. Like I said, I'm going with the L92, which is a 6.0 that comes out of a Denali, which is a very big, I guess, Jeep that Chevy makes, and that makes 404 horsepower factory, 435 foot-pounds of torque factory. No type of power out, anything. So With a light car like this, with over 400 horsepower, it should be extremely fun. It should be extremely fun to drift. That's what we're actually building this for. And if you guys are interested in that, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you can get a notification every time I upload video with this thing. But on to the next thing. Last but not least, we've already talked about what displacement you might want, how much engine bay space, how much horsepower you want factory without having to go into the motor. Now is the biggest of all the issues when it comes to LS swapping. How much do you want to pay for just an LS motor? You can get an LS1 all aluminum motor for right around $6,000 to $7,000. It's extremely pricey, but it comes with all the car intake on it and everything you need to just keep it very neat and put it in your car. Also, like my L92 motor, even though it's a truck or a Jeep variant of that motor, they go for around $3,000 just because of the amount of horsepower that they give you. So it's a very good bang for buck. $3,000, drop it in your car and you have a 400 horsepower vehicle. So you have to know what you want to do. You can also get those 5.3 that everyone puts in their LS swap. You can get those relatively cheap, right around $1,000. With everything included, you're not going to be missing a part. You're going to have a wiring harness, you're going to have an ECU, everything to start it up. But like I said, budget is the biggest thing. With this build, we're not really too concerned about budget. We're going to take our time, we're going to make this thing extremely nice, and we're going to do it right from the start. So this will be L92, a 6.0 LS motor out of a Denali, and we're going to have a 6-speed CD009 behind it, and we're going to be running it off of a Holley Terminator X kit. So that's all I have for you guys today. That's all of my knowledge on which LS you should choose for your swap. If this video was helpful to you at all, make sure to hit that like button. It really does help me out. Make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications if you guys like videos like this, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.